Well, with me now in the studio is Ranj Alaaldin from the Next Century Foundation, which does a lot of research into conflict zones, particularly in the Arab world. What do you make of these reports that have led to this speculation that Colonel Gaddafi might have left Libya?
Well, I think the first thing we'll have to determine is whether it's actually true or not. We hear all sorts of stuff coming out from Libya itself. I think if it is true, then it's certainly very positive, because it doesn't do much in terms of inspiring any loyalists remaining in the so-called loyalist areas that the NTC is trying to enter.
Could he not still be a rallying point, though, for Gaddafi loyalists even outside the country?
Absolutely. It really depends on what it is he intends to do while in exile. So if it is true, the question is, I can't see Gaddafi staying quiet even if in exile. He certainly can, he certainly has the capacity, I'd say, to try and undermine the new Libya, the post-Gaddafi Libya.
Well, so it is then a blow to the NTC and the new leadership in Libya if it seems that rather than face some kind of justice in Libya, he'd be outside the country?
Yeah, I think ultimately Libyans want closure. They definitely want to either kill Gaddafi or capture him and put him on trial. There definitely won't be any real end to this whole chapter until Libyans are certain that Gaddafi is captured or is killed, and he has no chance of returning.
Now, I know you have spent time in Benghazi, you've met members of the NTC. What were your impressions of them then and their potential to run the country now?
Well, back then, I think when we spoke to them, when I and colleagues spoke to them, they were definitely very shrewd. Back then, it was a few months after the outbreak of hostilities. They were definitely much more organized than they were at first. They have their own internal divisions and their own internal problems. And it's much different, it's very different governing, let's say, one area, Benghazi and the east, than governing an entire country.
So the potential is there for those divisions to grow rather than lessen at this point?
There's definitely political divisions. Now, that isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a good thing in a way if you want a pluralistic and free democratic process. The question is, will that political difference turn into violence, let's say? That's the danger here.
And what are then the early signs in these few weeks since we saw the events in Tripoli? Is there more that you think will unite the rebel leadership than divide them?
Well, it really comes down to how they organize themselves, how they distribute, let's say, the resources available, how they share power. I think that will be very crucial. It has to be done very sensitively, especially because you've got, as I say, individuals with different ideological perspectives. So we've got the Abdul Hakim al-Hajj, the rebel commander, Islamist, who's been the focus of much attention this week because of the whole rendition issue.
Yeah.
So it's these ideological differences that have to be reconciled.
Okay. Well, Ranj Alaaldin, thanks very much for talking to us. Our coverage of Libya, of course, continues on our website. Here on Impact in a moment, we'll be discussing something completely different, China's plans for congestion charging on Beijing's roads. First, though, let's get more of the day's news from Geeta.